Since you guys have been loving the breakdown videos so much, I decided to do it back to back. But today, we're not going to be reviewing the good, we're going to be reviewing the bad. More specifically, Toronto Ultra, why they are one of, if not the worst hardpoint team in Vanguard right now. And it's not pretty. Also, we are closing in on 40,000 subscribers on YouTube. Sam's getting nervous, okay? He texted me the other day and he was kind of shook because he sees the growth, sees the amount of love. So I appreciate all you guys so much. But now into the breakdown. The first video, guys, is going to be Toronto versus Boston. Now, Boston is not a top hardpoint team by any means, but they're not bad. And Toronto, they have issues literally right off the start of the game. This may seem a little, nitpicky, but trust me, this is going to be a recurring theme throughout this entire video. So their pacing is what we're going to bring up. Their pacing is one of their biggest issues. You can see on the screen, they're on Cammy's POV, and he is just L-triggering this mid-step rush. He can kind of get an angle on it if anyone on Boston pushes up their side beach, but not really. But this is pointless. He is watching exactly what Kleenex is about to push. So watch. Kleenex is just running straight up the gut, and he's the only one. He's the only one fighting it. So he gets the first blood and gets traded, right? While you have Bance and Insight, they're playing back. They were playing back, trying to watch the outer ring push. Don't hate that by any means, but essentially you're making Cammy useless because he's watching nothing. He doesn't need to even watch that if Kleenex is going to push it. He might as well have pushed up the ring steps with Kleenex, with the team. And even though it's a 3-on-3 here, they could have made it a 4-on-3. What Cammy's doing right now, if he was there off the rip, Toronto Ultra have a very easy time breaking this hill. Or they don't even have to break it necessarily because it's off rip, but like they have complete control. Instead, they didn't make, who was it? It was Methods. They didn't make him useless. They basically just said, all right, do whatever you want because we're not going to capitalize on any mistake that you're doing. This is a recurring theme, I promise you. Toronto Ultra have yet to get a point. And this is another clip where I think there could be some communication issues potentially. Because as you can see, there's still 30 seconds left on this P3 hill. But Toronto Ultra, they don't really have an opportunity to break this hill. At most, they're just trying to keep Boston off of it. Okay, make it scrappy. As you can see on the minimap, guys, number 2, Cammy, he spawns this cliff area. Now, this is very common. What Methods is doing, you'll see teams do this. This is how you're going to attempt to flip the team out. Okay, so Cammy is making a good play here by getting to boat. But I don't know if he doesn't say that a guy could have gotten through. I don't know if he even thought a guy could have gotten through it. I didn't even know if he thinks it's a possibility. But watch this. So Cammy's looking for somebody. But number 4, Kleenex, comes up off spawn. You can see because they're on Zinni's point of view, Methods' point of view here. And he doesn't even think it's a possibility. He's sprinting over to reinforce Cammy, having no clue that a guy could get by. Now, I know Kai timing is a thing. You can't be perfect. You can't be perfect throughout the entire map. I get that. And I don't know if it was a communication issue in terms of Cammy is telling his team that, yo, I got all the right side, they can't come cliff. Or if he is, but Kleenex wasn't listening. There has to be some sort of disconnect. Luckily, Toronto is able to keep spawns, okay, because it could have gotten a lot uglier than it already is. They are down quite bad. I mean, I don't even think I need to explain how bad they are. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to laugh. I'm not trying to poke fun. But they're able to get some time. But it doesn't disregard the fact that there are clear issues already in this map that need to be talked about and Toronto needs to fix if they don't want to be essentially the laughing stock of the league when it comes to hardpoint. Now look, Toronto is, I mean, I guess you could say slowly chipping away. Not really, but they have an opportunity right here. This is the last hill, the first rotation. If they can have a good hill here, okay, and then turn up second rotation, similarly to how Optic did against the Atlanta FaZe in my last video, they could bring this back. They can. Now, this is going to be very specific what I'm saying. But for this hill, in my opinion, I think Cammy's play, which I'm about to show you, is the wrong one. So he gets to ring, right? And he gets a kill right here. I think that Cammy could do something similar to what Illy did. A lot of other top teams do. He could have tried to push through, get up into this position, okay, and play the cut. Because Boston is going to be spawning exactly where Capsule's at in this area. And they have to push that way towards the hill, okay? And trust his teammates. All three of his teammates are up. They're obviously not in a position to break the hill yet. Trust his teammates to get the kills front. And he is just that annoyance, the annoying ass player that makes it so Boston has to now focus in the opposite direction instead of just being able to tunnel towards hill and kind of head smash. Instead, though, they get 2 kills.
Yeah, Toronto need to get in, man. They need to stop the
3 kills, actually. And instead of him doing that, he just decides to go back. He decides to run away from the hill, essentially. He's going to run down their side ring steps, and I'm guessing to try and cut off mid. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. And he gets taken down by Capsule, who's in green, as you can see right here. But I just don't understand that play. Right there, I feel like if he took that route, he could have been very annoying, okay? And just relieved pressure. Just relieved pressure on the Toronto Ultra, on the rest of his teammates. But instead he does that. I could be completely wrong. These guys are professional players. I am not. I am just giving you guys my opinion on the situations at hand. Now, I will say Toronto's able to hold on to this hill, or at least majority of the time, okay? They're obviously unbelievable players. They have a lot of fucking skill, but these fundamental issues, it's only going to hurt their team's chances at success in Hardpoint. Doesn't matter the map, doesn't matter if it's online, doesn't matter if it's on land. The fundamentals will always be the most important thing at play. And here's another situation of that. So Insight wins a huge one-on-one in this tower area. Okay, we're about to get into the second rotation of hills. There's still 20 seconds left. Okay,
to get someone early towards this P1. Good early shots coming in.
But here's the issue: 17 seconds to be exact. I know that they are down by just under 100 points, and you could feel like that is such a huge deficit, which it is. But you come back not by just getting a bunch of scrap, by winning rotations and getting 30 to 40 to 50, and it maybe, if you're lucky, get a full 60 on a hill. That's how you really chip away. So instead of prioritizing scrap hill with 15 seconds left, Methods obviously killed Cammy. Insight could have prioritized the cut. You know that there's going to be Boston players around here because you're pushing through here as they're on spawn. You didn't flip spawn. I don't know. I don't think that he thought that he flipped the spawn. You have your teammate going from the opposite side. He can clearly see that. Just play the cut. Play this cut right here and relieve pressure. Similarly to what Cammy could have done in the beginning of this hill that we're currently on. But instead, he prioritizes that 15 seconds versus Methods, right? Where they could have made Methods useless. Yeah. Okay, Methods get that 15 seconds. I understand. But you have numbers now. You have numbers at the new hill, which honestly, the P1s normally are not full 60. They don't have full 60 potential. This one does, though. This one does if you get a clean wave of kills and you can get a setup. They could have made it a 4-on-3 to get control of this P1 hill. Could have maybe been a spark plug moment for them and really change the momentum of this game. But instead, Insight challenges this. Well, look, these players were looking for him. Now, he could, if he challenged, no, it didn't challenge, but if he prioritized this cut, not saying just run at it like an idiot, yeah, he still could have died. But what if he got one and stayed alive? Okay. If he wins this one-on-one at Old, you could make the argument, well, then it's a 3v3 at New Hill. I understand that. But I've always looked at Call of Duty as a numbers game. Simple percentages. I'm taking a 4-on-3 over a 3-on-3 any day of the week. Not only is it not the right play, he loses the gunfight. So now they don't get any scrap, okay, which is what he had in plan. And look, Boston has 3 people at New. They have full control. And honestly, besides that, for the rest of the game, they didn't rotate. They couldn't break. They weren't doing anything together. Now here we have the Toronto Ultra versus the Paris Legion. Paris is not a good hardpoint team. Okay, I wouldn't say they're above average either. This is a team that Toronto Ultra should, in theory, beat almost 10 out of 10 times when it comes to hardpoint. Now I know Bokaji, however you freaking pronounce it. I know this is a very mixy map. Okay, I understand that. Believe me, I've played my fair share of ranked play, and it could be quite confusing at certain points. But this is one of the oldest things taught in the books. This is basic hardpoint Call of Duty fundamentals. It doesn't matter what game you're playing. So you see number 6 and number 7. You have Cammy and Insight. Okay, there's 25 seconds left on this hill. You have Kleenex and Bance in barn right here. Okay, they're obviously trying to get some of this time, keep Paris off of this. But for the important part, the assembly line, number 7 is Insight. He spawns up last, technically. Now, on rotation, he needs to be the guy that picks up the furthest lane, which would be going towards this bottom right part of the map, rotating, because Paris or any other team, they're going to try and send a guy to rotate early if they're smart, okay, to then flip spawns. So he needs to do that. Instead, though, watch how Toronto Ultra play. So they're all flooding this hill, this top lane right here. You see number 2, John gets this spawn by like water. People call it river, excuse me, back stables, whatever the case may be. And they just give John a freebie. There's 18 seconds left. Okay, I know you're trying to get the scrap, but I've told y'all Toronto Ultra is one of the worst teams at hardpoint at breaking a hill and getting more points than the enemy team. All right, they're not like elite at rotating or holding hills when they have rotation, but they're a lot better when they do. And so because Insight doesn't do the whole assembly line that I'm preaching, and they get, okay, they're fighting for this 15 seconds, John is able to push through for free because of Vanguard's fantastic spawn system. They flip because he is pushed up past the furthest player on Toronto, or the furthest back, excuse me, and they flip. So even though they get this scrap time, essentially, they now have to break. And I know you can break a lot of hills in Vanguard. This Grandma's Hill is not as easy as people think when it comes to breaking, especially if the team that has spawns, if they're playing it correctly and they have a good setup. So all he had to do was do exactly what Tom Gravity is doing right here. This is actually perfect because I didn't even realize it. Tom Gravity, in this situation, technically spawns up last. And look, instead of him pushing out this way, he knows I have to go pick up the furthest lane. Fundamental COD. So look, I know the Barn Hill is also another chaotic hill, but here's another issue of not only Toronto Ultra's pacing, but their prioritizing, their communication. Like, it has to be a mix of all of them, because look at where they're at right now. You have Insight, who is top barn. Okay, he just had got a kill up there mid map, whatever the case may be. Kleenex comes in through the tree door. You can see him on John's screen. They know that Paris is going to be coming through the front area, through this right side of the map. They have the spawn. Kleenex then challenges this gunfight. He challenges like 2-3 players, and while he's doing that, Insight is just sitting top barn. You're going to see it here in a second. But if Insight isn't also going to challenge, right, if he's not going to drop down, try and pinch, whatever the case may be, Kleenex should literally just be camping in that barrel spot, contesting the hill, waiting for his teammates to spawn, waiting for Cammy and Bance to come up spawn. Instead, though, he's challenging, he dies, he's just at such a disadvantage. And look, Kleenex, or not Kleenex, excuse me, Insight is on top barn. He's like on the step. Well, why not contest and do something together instead of just taking one-on-one gunfights over and over, trying to world star? And this is the last hill of the game. It's a very close 231 Paris, 226 Toronto Ultra. They have one very good break. And once again, they don't have rotation, as you can see, because they don't really ever attempt to rotate. Sometimes they do, but it's so hit or miss. But you have one break, and once again, pacing issues, route issues, maybe ideology of what they should be doing to break a hill. Maybe a little bit of panic just because the game is coming down to the wire. But it's your last break, so there's two things. Why would you split up, which you're going to see them do right here? You could see Cammy go tunnel, and then you have Kleenex around the back tower, okay? But while all this is happening, you also have Bance trying to go through tools, and Insight is working the street as well. Why would you not just try and do something together? What I mean by that is strength in numbers, okay? You're going to have a better chance at killing people and winning trades when you have more people there. So I don't necessarily hate this play out of Kleenex, but things do become a little bit different at the end of the game. And it's hard to explain it. This is a very veteran play out of temp. Ratty play, but it's a great play. I love to see it. You don't need to necessarily try and go around and make the perfect play. Now, I know that they don't know that temp is obviously all the way back here. I understand that. But if you're assuming that someone is going to be in the back on Paris, which should be a given, why not just make him useless and just go through tunnel together to the back? I don't know, because maybe if there is a guy back there where he could be anywhere, you instantly get a trade, but your teammates are going through front as well. So if there is a guy playing super far back like Temp is, you could break the hill. You have a 4v3 on the hill. Now, I know they didn't know his exact positioning, but it doesn't matter. I would have loved to see them do something together. Instead, Kleenex goes around the back. He dies, makes it now a 3-on-3 by the hill. And Insight's dead before the other two players, Cammy and Bance, can even make a play. And yes, they lose this map. Now, before I show you this video, I just want to give you all some context. On this map, Toronto Ultra in rotation win percentage, okay, ranked 10th. But their hold percentage is 85%, which is number 2 in the league on Tuscan. So now knowing that, you would assume Toronto Ultra, they would want to make sure that they win rotation, that they rotate as often as they can. And as you can see here on the minimap, there's 24 seconds left on this P1 hill. But I think Kleenex could rotate here. So next hill is at this statue area, P2. Okay. He could have free reign if he actually rotated towards the hill. But instead, he decides to fight old, gets tagged up, okay, and even if he won that gunfight, this is scrap time. Yes, it can add up, but think big picture. And then right here, this is, still early part of the map. Toronto get a nice 3 dead. They have rotation, okay? I love the positioning on the map in the big picture, but Toronto basically make themselves useless right here with Bance and Kleenex. Okay, because they know that FaZe is going to be attempting to break to this P5, right? And they're there early. But Bance is playing inside of P5, as you can see, while Kleenex is trying to watch his push. The only issue is the Atlanta FaZe can literally slide in this right corner. Kleenex can't trade, and they could just basically overwhelm Bance, and that's what happens.
What is going on? It's like 4 down on one side, 4 down on the other.
So they make the right fundamental play on rotating, picking up that correct route, that correct lane, but then they throw it away and they get isolated. I mean, it's a great play out of Atlanta FaZe. You see how close they are and how they're kind of playing with each other. Toronto Ultra, they were at damn near as close as you could possibly be, and they couldn't have felt more apart from one another. And that is just kind of like the minor positioning issues that Toronto Ultra has, whereas maybe they both should have played a little bit further back, or at least Bance, or Kleenex should have also been closer to like help team shoot. They basically Kleenex was useless right there, and so was Bance because of that. And this is just another blunder out of Toronto. Now I know that the spawns were tweaked on Tuscan. I understand that, but they're up by 60 points right here. And this is just miscommunication. This is something that can be fixed very easily. But look at Toronto Ultra on the minimap. They have Insight pushed outfield. I get that. They have Bance top fire, and he was looking mid. I know it's kind of bad COD timing, but you have both Cammy and Kleenex watching this roof pinch. I'll rewind it just to give you guys a little bit better of a view. Someone has to be looking mid lane, and I don't care who it is. Someone has to be. But if they have someone watching this mid lane from anywhere, it could be any one of them, they win this map. Instead, they let them just work right through mid and look at the difference. I'm going to touch on FaZe real quick because they are one of the best hardpoint teams in the game. Do you see the patience out of Simp?
Ultra can't quite win it here, but my goodness me, what is this scoreline? What is this series?
He waits until shit goes down, makes his play. Atlanta FaZe, they're able to break in very easily. But Toronto Ultra, they should have won this map, right? Well, they would have won off that hill, but they basically, that was the dagger. And they just let them walk right through mid-map. But at the end of the day, Toronto Ultra, their hard point is just disastrous right now. I definitely think that they can bring it back because they were great at it. But something needs to change, and I'm sure these guys are already working on improving it. So let me know, guys, if you liked this type of video. I know it's a breakdown, but it was more on the negatives. And if you guys want me to do it on another team for another mode, let me know and I'll do my best to make it happen. As always, though, I appreciate the love. It's late. I got to take my ass to bed. My girl's going to kill me.